Alright, so I said a while ago, back on my Shiny Needle Castle thing, that I was going to try and do more of these videos, and then school happened, and that was the thing. Anyways, as I said beforehand in that last video thinger, that the next build I'm going to be featuring is Chireiden. Now, Chireiden has a lot of history, well, a lot of history for me specifically. When I first came back on the server after like all the post-YC stuff, it wasn't here because sleepy things, don't worry about it. So I wanted to build a replacement Chireiden. This is not the one we're looking at, it's another one. So I did that, and it was before builders had rolled at it, and it took me 6 months of being in a cave, and I will never do it again. This Chireiden I actually built using creative plots. It was kind of cool. But all that aside, this is the second Chireiden, third Chireiden technically, counting sleepies. So what I did with this build is I used primarily Gothic architecture. There is no canon pictures of the exterior of Chireiden, sadly. Only the interior gets love, so I kind of went with more along with what the characters were like, rather than what the game's interior was hinting at. It's got a very Renaissance-y interior, and we'll get to that here in a second. But so I went with Renaissance Gothic / Baroque, which would make any architect scream inside because those two things are very contradictory. Gothic architecture is very, I wouldn't say stripped down, but it's very methodical in how it's laid out, whereas Baroque architecture is the polar opposite of that, so merging the two is the utter bastardization of the art. But I think it looks nice, so we'll make do. Anyways, the colors for the stained glass I did based on Satori and Koishi, of course. You've got the red for Satori's little cord thing, the blue for Koishi's, and the checkerboard pattern gets started even outside. Kind of a darker color scheme, matches up with the, I wouldn't say skyline, I guess, but that's about the best thing I've got for it. As well as it gave me as many blocks as I needed to do it. Like, I really like using holes and stuff on these and fences. And I also got to play with the new stones, the andesite. It looked better on one of the other texture packs, but it still looks pretty good with the more vanilla texture pack edit. So there's that. So this is the courtyard. I used a lot of roses. My actual reasoning being is Koishi's little phrase thing, I guess, that goes with their subterranean rose. So you'll see that actually reoccurring inside as well as this pale blue color, which you see in several of her spell cards. So all of the flowers are actually picked based on the different colors in the spell cards. That's why you don't see things like lavenders. The closest I get to peonies, and that's because of their shape rather than their color. Got kind of the poofy shape going on, like in the one spell card where Koishi's attempting to molest you. Anyways, so there's that. This path here I'm going to probably redo using command blocks rather than pistons, but this goes down to the Hell of Blazing Fires, which we're not covering in this video at all. But in Touhou 11, numbers are hard. After beating Satori, she says that she opened up a pathway in the courtyard of the castle Chireiden mansion thing, and that would take her to where the pets were. So it's in the courtyard, and it goes down to where the pets are hanging out in hell. That's where all pets go. Not really. Alright, so going on the interior, this is directly taken from Hopeless Masquerade. It's the very first time we actually got to see the interior Chireiden that wasn't the floor. The floor itself looks like part of it broke when I was world editing. I'll fix that later. But there's not really a good way to do the floor crows to scale. I do it later on at a much larger scale, but this is as close as I can get for now. On the interior, we've got Koishi's eye, we've got Satori's eye, and then we've got it flipped sideways over here. We got, again, Koishi and Satori's eyes, and they're all wrapping up and going up into the scaffolding. I did this is a 3-tiered room. Think of it kind of like a wedding cake from hell, for lack of a better term. I've got, again, the repeating roses are everywhere. I use those for everything. And my attempt at a chandelier. I tried. The hanging garden gives it a little bit more depth, because otherwise it would kind of be this square-looking room with some pillars on the side. So I wanted to make it feel kind of like it's a little bit more layered, and give it a reason for the everything, pretty much. It also helps out with the floor plan up above. We'll get to that later. The colors on the floor are, again, taken from Hopeless Masquerade, as well as all of the pillaring. So this is pretty much the stage you see. It'd be mostly from this angle, I guess you see it at. So there's that. Interior, this is a hats off to the Chireiden that I made. Chireiden 2.0 technically, because this would be number 3. It had a big floor crow. Everybody really liked the floor crow, so I kept the floor crow, and Acid thinks it looks like Texas. I frankly don't see it, but it's got the little sun thing in the middle. This is supposed to represent Oku. And I was gonna do, like, the 3 legs, because I know the stained glass that they show always has the 3-legged crows, but I couldn't make it look good without it actually looking like the state of Texas, so that's as close as I'm gonna get. Anyways, this is, even though this is technically the foyer entry hallway, this is probably the closest thing to the actual foyer. This is where you actually start seeing the Baroque architecture mixed with the Gothic. You've got the big flying buttresses that go up here, but all these little interesting things up here. Baroque architecture is, I wouldn't say it's pretty much Gothic architecture, but the whole point of Baroque is they broke things on the inside, like literally broken edgings, broken cornerings, broken scaffolding, to add extra depth to a build, so it kind of makes a more zigzaggy pattern, which I think looks really nice in Minecraft, but that's just me being an architecture nerd. This pillar's here to break up the monotony of the solid wall, rose gardens, because roses everywhere. And here we've got, out at the base of the pillars, I've got the lapis and the netherrack, again repeating with all of the things. And you'll notice that the Koishi and Satori eyes actually also checkerboard throughout the building. So you've got Koishi on this side, and then you've got Satori on this side. We're on the same side that we were with Koishi again. And then when we finally go through, it's Koishi on this side again. So actually the eyes themselves checkerboard, and that also coincides with the stained glass on the exterior and the front. Anyways, going in here, this is the throne room, technically where you fight Satori. I kind of got floor crows. Yeah. They're floor crows. It's terrible. I don't know a better way to do it, though. I tried. A for effort. Again, I've got the flying buttresses in here repeating to try and link it in here. I try and ease into the build as much as I can as you go into the building. So, going again from the front, you've got... It's kind of got a little bit of an archway going on here in the entrance. A little bit more. The ceiling gets vaulted at this point. Several series of vaulting. You see some of the arches going. Here we're already at the vaulted ceiling again, but I've introduced the flying buttresses this time. And here we have a really vaulted ceiling with not as many buttresses, but a little bit more detail in terms of like the eyes wrapping around things. Now, if I was clever, and I'm not always the most clever person, I would have put a heart on here, but I don't know how to do it because Minecraft blocks are too large and I want Minecraft blocks someday, but you can't always get what you want. I can dream. The gray carpet, again, break up the monotony of things. In the past, well, the past version, Chireiden 2.0, I actually used it to hide some of the redstone stuff, but I don't need to do that now because this one I was able to do a little more with. The stained glass up here, I actually was able to kind of get a 3-legged crow going. Got 1, 2, 3, and I guess that's a bird. Again, the chest thing in the middle for Oku, because it's her fault. She done it. And then again, the color scheme of the chair coincides more closely with the dress that Satori wears, since it's Satori's chair. Yeah, of course she doesn't get a chair because she left. So that's the throne room. We'll go ahead and we'll skip around. We'll go to this side of the building for now. At this point, we actually start getting in the living spaces. I've got all sorts of antechambers because it's all I really use for filler. Got a dining room in here. Got a kitchen. Kitchens are cool. This is much better than I normally do my kitchens. I think I had Chen do this one. Yeah. Again, I keep my color scheme consistent. The walls are white. Floors are the checkerboards. Even the windows are checkerboarded. We've got the dining table here. I want to extend it over 1 without it looking bad, so I've got the border, but I don't know. I'll play with it. Some of my flowers didn't copy and paste over correctly, which is phenomenal, and by that I mean sad. I'll fix that later again. So there's that. Going upstairs. Normally you get upstairs by going into the actual foyer itself rather than the entrance hall. Go upstairs, you go up here, and then you go into it starts forking. I'd imagine people being able to get pretty lost in here. But it is actually a fairly sensible layout. It's a lot better than the SDM's layout, which is literally a maze. It's a very lovely SDM, though. So we've got another antechamber here. I'd imagine this to be more like a sitting meeting room for all the different pets that they keep in here. why they have so many antechambers is beyond me. Why they have such a large house is also beyond me, but it is supposed to be massive because even Yuki says, oh, what, the people who live in this spooky giant castle in the middle of the city. It's a great name, plugin confirmed. Oh, and Mystic Eyeball. Interesting names. Alright, back onto the tour, go upstairs, and this is going to be Satori's room. Satori's room, again, I've got the color scheme. Got the blue, got the pink, the checkerboards, and then I have her eye up here, staring at her. That'd be really, really creepy to sleep under that. I don't think she minds at this point. Got a little study here, sit here and do paperwork and look out at the abyss, for lack of a better term. It's a fireplace, lots of books. Sits here and just studies, I guess, to the warmth of the fire. Up here is the dome you see from the outside. I don't really have a better thing to put up here, so I put kind of another mini study, small, like garden, rose garden, I guess, and a miniature sun. This is more foreshadowing than anything else. And it also makes for nice room illumination. So, yeah. This interior of the dome is actually based off of the Palatine Chapel, which is in Germany. It's more obvious from the outside. I'll go look at it again. Eventually. Eventually! Anyways, other side. We have, this will be Koishi's room, and again it also checkerboards with the eyes and the various patterns. Koishi's room I made to look deserted. She doesn't live here anymore all the time, usually. Again, I've got the subterranean rose theme stuff going. These are the blue roses because she's usually shown with blue roses in Fanon and Canon, so. Again, she had her own study. Her clock stopped working. There's spiderwebs all over places. There's dents in the wall. It's kind of fallen into disrepair. I honestly should have the fire maybe half out, or not even on at all, but that's a detail I didn't think of for some reason. Her bed, about the same thing as Satori's, except for her eye is closed for it. Got closets. Closets are cool. It's mostly just a state of disrepair. If I would have done more stone brick everywhere, I would have actually gone and made the floor itself look chipped as well, but this is about as close as I could get, so put some holes in the wall, I guess. So that's Koishi's room. Most people usually ask, where's Oku and Rin's room? Well, the thing is about Oku and Rin, they're technically pets in the castle. They're not super special other than the fact that they're shown. So their rooms actually aren't a whole lot larger than some of the other pet rooms. We got some here. There should be one here. Yeah. But this is Rin's room. It's got the skull, it's got a little cat post because people want to be able to see Rin's room. I believe you did this room, or helped with it at least. So, little details to kind of hint that the shoebox is her room. We're going up one of the spires again. This is just a private study. I'd assume that this is a study more for the pets. If they want to go off and be more secluded from Satori and Koishi, want to get a break from all that. Being around them all the time might be a little crazy. So going to the other side again, we're going to go and see Oku's room. Oku's room is, again, it's Rin's small. She's got a little bird perch, I guess. You did this. And she likes nukes. And brewing meth, possibly. That's Oku's room. There's nothing really fancy about it. Again, they're pets. They're not owners of the castle or anything, so they wouldn't really have fancy super Wamberdine rooms. That, and I'd imagine them being moved to smaller rooms, especially after the incidents of subterranean animism, because Satori was rather pissed. Anyways, so that concludes my Chireiden tour.